Hey there, queens and kings. Are you tired of allowing the fear of failure or fear of the unknown paralyze you and stop you from pursuing your dreams? Maybe you're afraid to leave or explore a new relationship. Maybe you're afraid to quit your job and start a new business or a new career. Or if you're like the old me, while dealing with fear, you were experiencing nausea and tension headaches and sweaty palms. I'm going to share with you how I was able to find the heart to love again, the mental fortitude to change careers, and the courage to move to a new area where we knew no one, just to start over, all by fighting the fear of failure. If you're tired of running from your fears and you are ready to fight back, spend just a few moments with me as I share with you 5 impactful steps on how you can fight fear. Are you ready to get in the ring? I'm Life Coach Vaughn, your fighting fear trainer, and this is my mentoring minutes. Before we start your training, don't forget to subscribe, share, and like. Also, think of what's going to be your opponent. This would be one thing you're fearful of pursuing. You'll need that later. Be sure to drop it in the comments so I can help you fight it. Got your pen and paper ready? Let's start the clock. Before you step in the ring to fight fear, let's cover some fundamentals and understand the definitions of fear and danger. Next, we're going to clear up some misconceptions. Then we're going to get to the really good stuff and take a peek at how the brain is the mastermind behind all of this. You'll be glad to know some of what it is that you're experiencing, it's not even your fault. But once you learn this, you'll be the one calling the shots. Definitions. Before I share the definition of fear, it's important for me to define danger. This term's definition is often inaccurately used for fear. Danger. According to Merriam-Webster, the definitions of danger are 1, the possibility of suffering harm or injury. 2, a person or thing that is likely to cause harm or injury. The most important words I want to call out here are likely cause and suffering harm or injury. This addresses the likelihood and the increased probability that something will happen. For example, it's dangerous to get in a box with a poisonous snake because it is likely you'll get bit. Now let's talk about fear. Fear. According to Merriam-Webster, the definitions of fear are 1, an unpleasant emotion that is caused by the belief that someone or something is dangerous, likely to cause pain or a threat. 2, be afraid of someone or something as likely to be dangerous, painful, or threatening. The most important words I want to call out here is that fear is an emotion that's caused by a belief. For example, I'm not walking in the woods. What if I get bit by a snake? Here, you're feeling an emotion, afraid, that's caused by a belief. You might get bit by a snake. This addresses an emotion that's caused by a belief. Here's the issue. You just dismissed an experience based on a possible negative outcome, not a likely one, but possible. You are not living the life you want because you feel an emotion that is caused by a belief that you've developed. What this means is that there's hope for you to fight fear. The training that I've put together is going to help you acknowledge, adjust, and annihilate those unhelpful beliefs. But let's deal with those misconceptions. Misconceptions. The most poetic and impactful description that I've heard to distinguish the difference between danger and fear was done in Will Smith's 2013 movie, After Earth. There was a scene where a father and a son had been put in a very compromising position when their spacecraft crashed on Earth, but not the Earth as we know it. It had been abandoned and inhabited by this not so friendly alien race. The father, Will Smith's character, the fearless but severely injured general, now had the burden of convincing his young son to go out on a mission to save both of their lives. He did this by sharing with his son, which happened to be Jaden Smith, a life-changing experience he had encountered in his earlier years. The general gave this reassuring and transformational speech at the end. Fear is not real. The only place that fear can exist is in our thoughts of the future. It's a product of our imagination causing us to fear things that do not at present and may not ever exist. This is near insanity. Do not misunderstand me. Danger is very real, but fear is a choice. We are all telling ourselves a story. While discussing how to fight fear, we must first understand that fear only exists in our minds. Yes, the mind is a very powerful thing, but I'm going to show you some steps and some combinations on how we can leverage that power. I also want to provide this disclaimer. There are different types of fear that exist. The one that is often used interchangeably is that of a phobia. Fear can definitely turn into phobias, but as I wish to stay on topic and stay inside these boxing ropes, I will not be addressing phobias. Some fears may need to be addressed with the assistance of a specialist. Others can be knocked out with a shift in your perspective and getting the proper training. And that's what I'm here for. But either way, you must choose to be intentional about winning this fight. Make sure to pair this video with my free ebook, Fighting the Fear of Failure. The link is in the comments section. Are y'all ready to do a warm-up exercise with me? Yes? Great, let's go. Now, quietly and to yourself, read this word. Now, say this word out loud. Now, again, to yourself, read this word. Now, say this word out loud. Why is it that these words are exactly the same? However, for the majority of you, when you saw the second word, your facial expressions changed. I'd even like to enter a small wager that even when you said the second word out loud, you said it differently. And if I truly was a betting woman, I would say not only did you say it differently, but you felt differently. Why do you think that is? If I asked you to describe the first fear, you would probably say something like, it's pretty and it's normal. Whereas you would probably describe the second fear as scary and bloody or creepy and maybe horror, right? Remember the phrase I pointed out in the definition of fear? It's an emotion that's caused by a belief. Here's a blatant example to prove that fear exists only in our minds, but it has the power to trigger strong physical reactions in our bodies. The key that's going to help us win this fight is discovering the answer to this question. What are your beliefs? Your beliefs cause you to see, say, and feel differently about the same word, which leads me to the last part of the fundamentals, getting to know the mastermind. Then I'll teach you those 5 steps infused with the TKO combo: the brain, mental conditioning, external influencers. This nasty, deceitful, imaginative 4-letter word is stopping us from making some much needed decisions and changes in our lives. But not all of that is necessarily our fault. There have been numerous studies that's revealed children are more than likely to follow in the footsteps of their parents or their families. Some of what you could be experiencing has been taught or unknowingly instilled in you. Your subconscious has been infiltrated and influenced. So as an example, you've considered starting your own business, but you're experiencing some resistance, fear even. Is it because you come from a family of 9-to-5ers? When choosing to do something different from your upbringing or something you've never done before, it's easy for you to become fearful. This is a natural feeling. Can you find the belief here that has triggered the fear emotion? Maybe it's the belief that 9-to-5s provide more stability.
Internal influencers.
Having a bad experience could cause you to be fearful as well. We allow unsuccessful or bad experiences to dictate our actions of the future. Remember that fearless general? Fear is not real. The only place that fear can exist is in our thoughts of the future. Let's take the previous example with your parents being entrepreneurs. Let's say they struggled with having a business. The money was funny and no one was laughing. It actually tore your family apart. Because of this, maybe you have now formed a belief that entrepreneurship or having your own business tears families apart. Now, having that as a belief is something that do not at present and may not ever exist. And now it could be impacting your decision to become a very successful entrepreneur. The punch, you need to know that your beliefs can take you out during this fight. It's a sneaky little thing. You have to be aware of them and know where they stem from so you can beat them to the punch. Whether those influences are internal or external, when it comes to fear, we need to acknowledge what caused our belief. There are resources in the free ebook that will help you with discovering this. Now, I would be a good trainer if I didn't share with you what's actually happening when experiencing fear. So let's get to that. The brain, mental reaction. When you recognize fear, a small organ in the middle of your brain alerts your nervous system. Then, stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol are released. Okay, let me make it plain. Let's say you started thinking about pursuing a new career or committing to that new relationship. Maybe thinking about finally pulling the trigger on that investment that you've been researching for months. Then all of a sudden, you start getting nervous and you start breathing faster. Your heart rate increases, your palms are getting sweaty, and you start feeling queasy. Some of you are probably feeling it now. You know that feeling? That small organ in the middle of your brain, the amygdala, is doing its job. It sensed fear and is now preparing you for fight or flight. During this time, even your blood flow changes. Your blood actually begins to flow away from your heart and into your limbs, just in case you gotta run or throw some punches. Did I hear you say, oh, that's what's happening? Yes, that's why fear seems so real to many of us. The fear itself isn't real, just our body's emergency response to it is.
Some people just don't like that feeling. That's why it's easier to just avoid things we're afraid of versus fighting it.
Now that you've aced the fundamental training, it's time for some mental reconditioning. We're about to make some adjustments by implementing 5 impactful steps. But that's enough training for today. Champ, how are you feeling? We've covered a lot of fundamentals. You now know the difference between danger versus fear. We cleared up some misconceptions, and now you understand that fear is an emotion that's caused by our beliefs, and that these beliefs can be internal or external influences. That our brain, more specifically that amygdala, is really the mastermind, and our bodies are merely responding to it. We've also learned that we have the power to shape our beliefs. And the how? You'll have to wait for part 2 for that training session. Or, since I'm a woman of fairness, not quite a betting woman, if you share, like, and comment and help this channel get to 150 subscribers, I'll drop the video before its regularly scheduled day, which is February the 9th, 2022. And if you think this was good and relatable, wait until you learn the how. If not, it's okay. I truly appreciate that you're here and you decided to fight the fear of failure. Start putting into action the things that you've learned today. Remember, you must be intentional when fighting fear. It honestly becomes easier over time. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm committed to helping you. And as I am learning more and more about the brain, it really helps me to understand the term fighting fear. However, we're going to change that together. Don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and comment. I'm Life Coach Vaughn. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time. Stop the clock.